Hello, as requested, we are going to compare doTERRA's Digest-Zen, or also known as Zengest in Canada, and Revive's Comparable Blend Digest Support. So I'll be comparing the price points, the ingredients, and then we're going to be smelling them together. Then at the end, I'll be sharing something that I think is important to note because I see a lot of unsafe recommendations around doTERRA's Digest-Zen or Zengest. So first off, we're going to talk about price. And of course, this is something that I've never really compared in the past just because I know it can be like a touchy issue, but I'm to the point where I'm just going to say it like it is. So doTERRA's blend for a 15 milliliter is $48 if you are just a regular person, or if you're a member, the member pricing is $36. Whereas Revive's version of the blend, a 10 milliliter, so it's 2/3 of the quantity, it is $12.50. And all these prices are in American, and it's the prices that I last saw. So of course this is subject to change, but this is what I'm seeing currently. Next, we're going to talk about the ingredients. So I'm going to share with you what it says on the inside. So feel free to pause if you want to read the ingredients. As you can see, doTERRA does not mention, at least on my bottle, the Latin name, which I feel like is very important, but it's just not there. Then we have the ingredients for Revive, and I'm going to share them side to side, but I'm also going to talk about it a little bit. So we have them side to side for those who want to compare. All right, so the ingredients, we have anise is in both of them, peppermint, ginger, caraway, coriander, tarragon, and fennel. So unfortunately, doTERRA doesn't say which anise is actually in the blend. I've tried looking on their website, but it doesn't say because there's different kind of anise with the Latin name. So I'm not sure if the same anise are in both bottles, but Revive does say which one is in their bottle. So apart from that, they both have the same ingredients. With anise, we're not really sure what doTERRA has because they don't really share that. You'll also notice on the bottle that the order of the ingredients is not the same. I know that in the food industry, the first one labeled or the first one listed would be the one that there is the most quantity of. I've seen a lot of, aromatherapy students or aromatherapists kind of say that because it's the first one on the bottle, that means that there's more of that essential oil. I don't know if that's the case because I've read in a book from Valerie Ann Warwood that she said the order of the list does not reflect the quantity of the oils in it, like that the first one doesn't mean that there's more of that oil. It's more of the blending order that it represents, which I don't know if that's what people practice now. I don't know if that's what these companies practice. Just a side note that the lists of ingredients are in different orders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to smell Digest-Zen, Zengest first, and then I'm going to smell Digest Support from Revive. Then I will take a 5-minute break and then compare this to this. I know that if you smell one first, sometimes smelling the next one, it kind of changes what it actually smells like. So Digest-Zen. Okay. Very licoricey like it is. Because you have the fennel in that. I think the anise smells like that as well. Revive's next. I'm cracking this open for the first time, by the way, on video. Oh, I'm feeling that it smells more like ginger. Okay, very interesting. So anise is first in this doTERRA's oil, which, okay, I do smell the licorice. Peppermint and then ginger are the first few ones here, but then peppermint's the third one on doTERRA. Because I don't know if I smell that much of a licorice smell, but maybe that's because this was really overpowering for licorice smell, and then I'm kind of like nose blind, and then I just smell the ginger because this is what's changed. Okay, I think I might smell the licorice smell now. Anyways, I'm going to turn off the video, and then I'm going to do the Revive and then the doTERRA just to see if I do smell licorice with this one. All right, so now I'm going to smell the Digest Support. It's been a good 20 minutes since I last smelled it. Remember, I didn't really smell that much licorice-y smells. It's more ginger because I think I was overpowered, like my nose was overpowered by the really licorice-y smelling Digest-Zen. Okay, so I do smell that there are kind of like licorice undertones, but I would still say that ginger really pops out as like being the most powerful. It does say peppermint first before ginger. Okay, and now more of the the licorice notes are coming out now that I've like gotten used to the ginger. This is a hard one. Okay, now I'd say this smells more like Digest-Zen. I smell it longer. But honestly, like the ginger at first, it did smell like as like really dominant. Okay, like if I'm smelling this now, I'd be like, oh yeah, it smells like Digest-Zen. Because I've like smelled it so much. And it's like, I think my nose is kind of going nose blind a little bit to ginger. Okay, it does smell licoricey, like it does now. At first I wasn't sure. And again, fennel's like midway down the ingredients list, and then anise is like at the last one. I know there's no cinnamon in here, but the first thing I smelled after smelling this in doTERRA is I felt like, it smells like cinnamon buns, like sweeter. It does smell sweeter, but then again, if I'm not mistaken, their peppermint smells sweet. So I'm wondering if it's that. Peppermint is the second oil after anise. I'm gonna smell the Revive again. Yeah, ginger's popping up again. So, verdict. Do they smell exactly the same? No, they don't really. Do they smell similar? I would say yes, especially after you've smelled this like for a while, but they do smell different. Like this one still smells pretty like gingery, like it does smell like ginger, where this one really smells like licorice a lot more. They are comparable. If you were to get me to smell both, I'd know that they're not the same. So yeah, I guess I would say if you like more licoricey smelling, then you're looking at Digest Zen. If you're wanting more dominantly ginger smells, then we're looking at Digest Support. So let's talk about some of the safety things that I wanted to talk about that concern me with Digest Zen or doTERRA Zengest. I see a lot of users, reps, sellers really encouraging ways of using this oil that kind of concern me a little bit. I wanted to just mention, just to counteract that this would not be an oil that I recommend in pregnancy, just because it does contain oils that are recommended as not being safe in pregnancy. For example, like fennel and anise, and that would make it also not recommended for those who have endometriosis. Tisterin will even say that it's not recommended for those who are under 5 years old, because I see a lot of people saying, oh, just put this on your baby when they have like discomfort or like, you know, whatnot, like digestive discomfort, which is not something that I would recommend. For those who don't know, I do have training in aromatherapy, so I have my aromatherapy certification. For those who are wondering, like, why is she saying all that things that she does? This is why it concerns me. So of course I'm not doing a deep dive on safety, but I just wanted to mention that because I see a lot of those recommendations on social media, which as someone who has studied in aromatherapy, I find it kind of concerning, but I'm not always going to like pipe up and start any arguments in the comment section, but I just want to bring awareness to those who are willing and curious, which also brings me to my next point, something that I wanted to bring up. I don't know how many people know this, but there is this MLMer midwife. So an MLM midwife, I'm not really sure how else to say it. I'm not going to mention her name. And if any of you guys watching this video can make the connection of who it is, I ask that you do not harass her, that you do not bully her. However, for me as someone who has trained in aromatherapy and has looked at safety and whatnot, I do feel like it's my responsibility to kind of bring this up and raise awareness on what I see and what kind of concerns me. So this midwife, this MLM or midwife, I don't know really about her training. I'm not questioning her training on midwifery, or however you say it, I'm not really sure. I don't know what the criteria is. I've kind of looked a little bit into her stuff. I had her book, I don't know where it went, but from what I've seen, I don't think she has formal training in aromatherapy. She might have gotten eventually her doTERRA Essential Oil Specialist certification, which makes people feel like they've been certified. I've done a whole comparison video on doTERRA versus real certification training. Feel free to check out the link in my description because I'll do the comparison video. But doTERRA does also have their doTERRA University where they educate those on essential oils and essential oil safety, which for me, I find really questionable and shady for legal reasons, just my opinion. But I do feel like it's my responsibility as someone who has studied essential oil safety to bring this up, to give you some food for thought and to encourage you to do research on certain safety points. So when we're using essential oils in pregnancy, please, please, please do not just look at your upline for advice, especially if they're not formally trained in aromatherapy. And the essential oil certification from doTERRA is not real training. Sorry, but not sorry. I'm just kind of saying it like it is. Try to find some reputable sources to really find out what's safe for you in pregnancy, what's not, what's safe for kids, what's not, what's safe if you're taking certain medications, what's not, and so on and so on. Because it's MLM midwife, I've seen her in her books and also online to recommend using certain essential oils and certain blends that I was kind of like concerned about. She's recommending that they be used in pregnancy. So I'll give you some examples. We're going to start with Digest Zengest. It was recommended for digestive discomfort. This essential oil contains fennel and anise, essential oils that are not recommended in pregnancy. So for me, even in my training, I was not allowed to use any of those essential oils on people who are pregnant just because it was not considered safe. So I find it interesting that a midwife is telling people to use it, not just say, oh, use it if you want, but like to use it and saying that it's safe. And of course, I could see some possible Young Living reps in watching this and in the comment section saying, well, oh, I use Young Living, so it's safe. This is actually comparable to their Digest blend, so their digestive blend with fennel and anise. So it's the same story, not something I would recommend in pregnancy in terms of safety. Another one I see being recommended in pregnancy that I'm concerned about is Deep Blue. Young Living's equivalent or almost equivalent would be Panway. These contain at least one essential oil that is not recommended in pregnancy. So we're looking at wintergreen. So I've seen Deep Blue recommended for like pain and discomfort and whatnot. Also sort of personal, but you'll hear this from a lot of aromatherapists. I'm not a fan of using essential oils internally like at all in pregnancy. So that to say, as well as your daily LLV supplements, it does contain essential oils in it. So again, it's something to consider. I would not be taking it, but I see that there are MLM professionals that are encouraging it. So food for thought. I'm not here to tell people what to do, but I'm here to raise awareness. Next, another thing that I am seeing promoted is using Clary Calm. So Clary Calm, the hormonal blend, I've seen it being promoted for use and safe for use in pregnancy. This is not a product that I would be recommending during pregnancy. I'm going to share with you a little story, but first there are some ingredients in that blend that I find concerning to be using in pregnancy. And that includes Vitex, fennel, right? Fennel, it's coming up again, and carrot seed. So these essential oils are not recommended in pregnancy. They are in that product. Not only is it a product or an essential oil that you can like dilute, it's already pre-diluted. It seems that it is highly concentrated from what I've seen and when I've used it. I know when I used to use that, like not pregnant, I would still dilute it. I'd probably make, I don't know, would I make like 5 roll-ons with the one roll-on I already had, if not more. I had an incident where I even saw stars and stuff, like it was like stars all around, but I can only see like tunnel vision. And I just realized, okay, this is really strong, like really strong. Also, possibly uncomfortable stories. So if you can't handle lady stuff, you can click off. But when I was going through a really stressful time in my life, university, my lady cycle was way out of whack. Like I would bleed for like 20 some days a month sometime or per cycle. And by the time I finally was able to see a doctor, I was hoping that he would run tests to see why I was having double periods or just kind of constantly having my lady bleed. And basically he didn't look into it. He's like, take the contraceptive pill. For me, I went because I wanted to see what's going on, what's the root cause, not just to have it masked up by like a pharmaceutical, just be like, okay, I don't know what the problem is, but take this, it'll regulate your period. And this video is not to give my opinion whether or not a person should or shouldn't take birth control or the pill. It's really your choice at the end of the day. But for me, it was something that I was really always uncomfortable with because I'm not really into like band-aiding health problems and just kind of like covering up the symptoms, but rather looking at the root and seeing what's going on. Anyways, my doctor passed me a prescription for birth control. He knew I was uncomfortable and I was like, oh, like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I told him that I would take the paper, I would try something for a month or 2, and then if it didn't work, I would take the birth control because for me, like I said, I wasn't really comfortable with the whole pill, especially not knowing what the actual problem was. So I got some products, one of them being Clary Calm, and within days, like boom, everything was normal. And then every month it was like normal, like it should be. And it was just like a miracle product for me. I don't sell doTERRA, so I think I can actually say that, but it was just like, whoa, like it just worked for me. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So I started off using it constantly. And then after I used it like a few times a week and then one time a week, and then eventually my body was just like fine on its own until I hit another stressful event in life again. And then it went out of whack. And I've always wondered like, what's the secret about Clary Calm? Like, what's the secret? Why does it work? As an aromatherapy student, I worked with different case study clients, and I was also a case study client of my own. So I was able to experiment on myself, and I always tried to make different hormonal rollerballs, hormonal recipes to try and figure out how can I help women? How can I help balance myself? And I tried a lot of the ingredients that were already in Clary Calm, but I never was able to nail it. And I was like, what's the special ingredient? And what I believe it really is, and I think it's Vitex. So I ended up buying Vitex essential oil, making blends with it, and boom, it worked. It is a powerhouse. It is a very powerful oil. If it can do that to my body, like, I don't think it's something to mess around with. And just for fun, I'm just gonna be looking up in my safety book, link down below for the safety book if that's what you want, for Vitex, also known as Chaste. So you find it as Chaste in the book if you're looking, so under the C category. So under the C category, so if you look, you'll see that it is a productive hormone modulator. It's contraindicated for those who are taking progesterone therapy, who are pregnant, who are breastfeeding, children before puberty. So just to give you the idea of how powerful it is, and it's something I would not mess with in pregnancy. It's something I would not use, especially with Clary Calm where it's like already diluted, but I think it's highly concentrated. Just a quick another example, I see that, for example, this MLM midwife says that you can use myrrh in pregnancy. I mean, even looking at this book, I'll read for you just so you guys can kind of see. It says that for myrrh, it's contraindicated, so not recommended during pregnancy, lactation, and it may be fetotoxic. due to the beta-alanine and furanodiene content. For those who don't know, both of those chemical constituents, which is contained in myrrh naturally, are entheogenic. So entheogenic means that it does not allow the formation of new blood vessels. So I'm going to read an excerpt from page 155. So during gestation, as tissues grow in the placenta and embryo, new blood vessels form from pre-existing ones by a process known as angiogenesis, which is the forming of new blood vessels. Some essential oils can stop that or, inhibit that. So suppressing angiogenesis may be useful in preventing tumor growth, but if it is suppressed during gestation, so pregnancy, when the baby's forming in your belly, adverse reproductive and developmental consequences are likely to occur, such as preeclampsia, fetal growth restriction, and fetal death. That's kind of dramatic, because I know there are people who might have used myrrh and not had adverse reactions, which I think is sometimes dangerous because people will say it's worked for me, so you can do it, which, please do your research, is what I'm saying. And I don't like to gatekeep information, so a lot of the safety information, stuff that I've learned at school, a lot of it's found here. So I do have a video talking about this, so feel free to check that out. So in a nutshell, I'm just spreading awareness. Please do your research when you're using essential oils, and use reputable resources. I just wanted to bring that up and come here and say just because someone's a professional doesn't mean they've studied in aromatherapy. Okay, so just a quick little public service announcement. I don't think I have that much time left, so if you're wanting to check out this video here where I talk about pregnancy and essential oils, feel free to click here. If not, here's a playlist that you might like. Take care and bye-bye.